Alright guys, so we got two cars here, two Chevys, of course. They both came in on the hook. Well, technically not. The Chevy Malibu at the bottom came in on the hook. This one was about to come in on the hook, and then at the very last moment, it actually started. Two different issues. That one just cranks, and will not start. This one has a very slow crank. I mean, really slow. And then the owner started to smell what smells like burning wires. So she was gonna get it towed over here, and right before the tow truck driver showed up, and he was like, try to crank it, let me see what it sounds like. It was cranking very slowly, and since it has one of those push button automatic starts, if you push the button one time, it just continues to crank all by itself. So the starter kept doing this thing, and she said it started to speed up more and more, and it eventually fired up. I'll tell you one thing, when it got here, it was running perfectly fine. But the Malibu is more of an emergency. This one, they have a spare car. So we're gonna go look at the Malibu first. So I believe this one has a fuel delivery issue, because when the owner was cranking it after the tow truck dropped it off, it sounded like a crank with no fuel. And I told him, while you're here, if you could give me a hand of turning the key while I spray some starting fluid down the intake manifold. And sure enough, the car, it backfired. It threw like a flame out the out the intake, but it did start and run for like 2 seconds. So it is a fuel delivery issue. Let's turn the key, see what it does. Hopefully it still doesn't start. So as you guys can hear, let's see if this car has a fuel pump relay. Nice. All right, so micro relay number 18. As you can see, it says fuel pump, and it's going to be that one right there. So it should be this one. First thing I want to do is let's get this out of here, and I want to test the relay. All right, I got the relay out. Let me get my tester. Now, just a little backstory. The owner has been having this fuel delivery issue for, I don't know, maybe a few months now. Instead of having me diagnose it when the car was still running, but sometimes it would just hesitate to start, he just kept I don't know, parts cannon, you know what I mean, doing his own research, his own YouTubing, and throwing whatever parts any other person is telling him without actually paying someone to diagnose the issue. So last time he was here for this fuel issue, he had me change the fuel pressure regulator, because I think that's what someone told him, or because of a YouTube video. And it's just one of those things where you just kind of waste money and time changing parts that are unnecessary, instead of just paying someone to diagnose it. You get what I'm saying? So let me get my tester. Alright, so I have my relay tester connected. This is the one right here. So as you can see, I got the relay popped in already. Let's go ahead and hit the button. It's basically going to cycle the relay a few times. This might check out good, because when they're bad, it usually does it pretty quick. Yep, got the green light. I like to do test a second time just to confirm. Yep, okay, of course it wouldn't be that simple, right? I can't get that lucky. Anyway, the owner sent me a text not too long ago saying that the fuel pump on this thing is less than 2 years old, so that's interesting. So I got another tester right here. As you can see, it's like a switch, and it replaces the relay. It's this kit right here. Sorry about the wind noise, guys, and I know you guys are hearing something. Anyway, by turning on this switch, I should be able to turn on the fuel pump. What I want to do is, I'm gonna turn this on and go underneath the car and see if I could hear the fuel pump running. I might even take a soft blow mallet and use that to kind of bang on the tank a little bit. All right, switch is on. Most definitely do not hear anything. I don't know if this is one of those things where the key has to be on. Probably. Let me go double check. Alright, so key is on. I could hear something over here. Guys, the pump is running. I hope you hear that. That pump is running. Let's try to start the car. Would be nice if there was somewhere to tap into fuel pressure. I don't think this car has one. And it looks like it does have a Schrader valve. Look at it right there. It's kind of in a tricky spot. That sucks. You know, this what is a power steering line in the way. I'll see if I can work with that. See if we can get something to work and get a fuel pressure gauge on this thing. So as far as fuel pressure testing, all I have is this Master Harbor Freight fuel pressure testing kit, and it's crap on the best days. Like 80% of the time, every time, doesn't work. So I think the last video I was trying to get this to work on, I was showing you guys, was a 350Z with a bad fuel pump, and no matter what I tried, I could not get this gauge to read. Like there's something wrong with these lines or these Schrader valves, I guess, and I don't know, something just isn't working correctly, that no matter what I do, it will not show pressure on the gauge. I'm gonna try. Let's see if we could get something to work here, but I'm not too optimistic about this one. All right, so as you can see, I got the fuel gauge connected, and I don't know, I don't have much confidence in these things. Let's go ahead, turn on the key. Like I said, last time I was using this kit, I could not get it to read anything. Okay, so either it's not gonna work or it's just gonna spit fuel out everywhere. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit the switch right now. Uh-oh, it did work. It went up to 40 psi. And I saw it go up a little bit higher while the pump is running, but as soon as I turned it off, it went down to 40. And I'll try to get you guys a better shot of this. See something like that. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the pump and turn off. Guys, this is not a fuel pump issue, it's not a fuel delivery issue. My next thing is crank sensor. That's where I'm going after. And you know what, ironically, I just replaced a harmonic balancer on this thing about a week ago, maybe something like that, and the crank sensor sits right behind the harmonic balancer. The old balancer that was on this thing was, you know how there are two pieces, got a piece of rubber on it. What I could actually show you guys, I got the part right here. So here was the old harmonic balancer off of this Malibu. So it's two pieces, the inner and the outer, and they're joined together with this piece of rubber to like dampen vibrations. Well, it had started to separate, so when the engine was running, if you look down the side of the engine, this pulley was doing this, like wobbling like crazy, hitting all kinds of crap, making noise. It's really important that this thing's in the right place, and honestly, you can't put it on wrong. You can see it has the pickup, I'm just gonna call it the pickup teeth or the gates for the crank sensor. Yes, it's part of the harmonic balancer on this car. So the sensor itself sits like right behind here or on the outside. I can't remember where it sits, but all I know is it picks up off of this squirrel cage right here, and that's how it gets its signal to like fire injectors and things like that. So yeah, this thing was jumping around like crazy. We replaced it, and a week later, the sensor that happens to sit right behind here happens to fail. At least I'm assuming that's where we're going next with this, guys. Looking like a crank sensor issue, seeing that the fuel pump works and we have fuel delivery, no issues at all with that. It's not going to be spark because this is not a spark issue. You know, we could check spark because I guess if the crank sensor isn't working, it wouldn't send spark either. I don't know, it depends on the car, I guess. I don't know, I'm just jumping around everywhere at this point. Let's get the scanner real fast. I believe the car gets the RPM signal from the crankshaft sensor. So if that sensor isn't working, then we shouldn't see any RPM. Sometimes you could also look at the tach. So you can see it shows 0. Let's go ahead and crank. Let's see what that tach is doing. Usually it'll move up just a hair under cranking. And you can see that tach did not move at all. So I did just notice that the theft system light is flashing. I know someone's going to say something about that. And honestly, I don't know if that's normal for having the key on, engine off, if you know, for it to flash. I don't know. The owner has never had an issue with theft deterrent system. So I decided to check for codes real fast, and of course we disconnected the fuel pump relay. So that was us. Everything else is evap and air conditioning. So there's no codes related to this thing not starting. So let me go ahead and continue to look for an RPM. I'm gonna go ahead and crank. So we did get something. It said, you guys saw it's at like 200 RPM. Try it again. Yep, 200 RPM. I was hoping we wouldn't get anything on there and it would lead me down that path of a bad crank sensor. But now that we see it actually is putting out a signal, it kind of takes me back to that theft light. You get what I'm saying? So this is interesting. I went ahead and put the original fuel pump relay back in because I still have my little toggle switch in place. As soon as I put the fuel pump relay back in, that theft light went out. So that's what it was seeing as a issue. So that's not a concern anymore. So we have fuel pressure. We have RPM picking up from the crank sensor, which I was hoping it would be that because it would be pretty straightforward. You know what I mean? Let's change this part. It'll be done. Now we have to just start checking things, guys. So we checked fuel pressure. We have to check for spark now. So I got my spark tester in line here, and I got no one here to help me. So I'm just gonna try to set up my camera. Hopefully it doesn't fall. Let's see if we can see a spark on this thing as I crank it over. No freaking way, guys. This turd just started out of nowhere. You guys heard it? Oh my god. That's not good because, well, let's see if it'll start again. You know, if you get it to start without finding the problem, that's not good. Alright, let's try to start it again. And there it goes. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this car. This sucks. I didn't change anything. I didn't touch or anything. You get what I'm saying? That's unfortunate. That is super unfortunate. Because now that it's starting, I don't know what the problem is, and it makes it even more difficult to try to track down. Obviously, it's not a spark issue either. I mean, it's not a nothing issue right now because the engine runs. So I want to go ahead and take another look at the RPM since the engine is running now and see if we still have that delay. I'm not expecting it to because once the engine catches, it's going to be running much faster. But let's see what happens now. No, I'm wrong. There's still a bit of a delay, which makes sense. We could graph the sensor and see if it's like dropping out or anything, but it looks pretty consistent. I'm gonna try to raise RPM. Guys, it starts up reliably. Jesus. I'm gonna have to call the owner and say, hey, well, I couldn't figure it out and now your car starts, which is not good. All right, so I just got off the phone with the owner, and trust me, he's not happy to find out that the car is not running. I'm not happy either. You know, no one likes to hear this type of stuff because now essentially you're trying to chase a ghost. You're trying to find a problem that no longer exists, which makes the job way more difficult. Yeah, Okay, I'm on the same page. Okay, I don't like shooting parts of people's cars, but I told him, hey, my best educated guess on what could be causing this is a crank sensor. It has all the classic symptoms of a bad crank sensor. And honestly, I tried to tell him like, hey, come pick up the car now that it's running, drive it directly to a mechanic shop and leave it with them until it acts up and let them diagnose it. And he was like, no, you already got it. I'm with you. Basically, he's not trying to hear that. And the reason for that is he is financially paper thin, guys. He's already asked me how cheap I could do this, especially since I was already in there and I already replaced a harmonic balancer like a week ago. And it's for us. Basically, guys, it's looking like I'm doing work for damn near free, or a fraction of what a shop would charge to do this type of work. You get what I'm saying? But I feel bad for the guy. I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. So here's what I'm going to be, the nice person that I am, since I was just in there about a week ago. I'm going to go ahead and pull off this harmonic balancer. He said he's going to get the part from an auto parts store. So I'm going to replace it for free. That's right, guys, for free. And whether it fixes his car or not, and I already gave him the warning, hey, we are shooting the parts cannon. This is just a educated guess. Don't take it as concrete, solid, like, oh, this is gonna fix it, because that's not what I'm saying at all. It really is shooting the parts cannon at it, and I'm not gonna charge him. That way I don't have any guilty conscience that I charged him for doing work that didn't fix his car, because I'm not like that, guys. All right, as you can see, I got the wheel off, took the fender liner off, and I have my tool installed on the harmonic balancer. Let me turn on the light for you guys. So you can see right there, it's already installed. So all I have to do is start cranking down on this center bolt, and it's gonna pull off the crank pulley. So nice and easy. With the pulley out of the way, as you can see, we now have access to our crank sensor, which is this weird looking thing right here. So we'll go ahead and take off the two bolts. They look like maybe 8mm, and follow the harness and unplug it. And there we have it. Here goes our old crank sensor, OEM, back from 2002. I'm assuming I'm gonna have to transfer over this bracket, but okay, so at this point I'm still waiting for the new part. So there isn't anything else I can do besides just wait.
They might be a little bit more lax when it comes to stuff like that, but I put in a good word for you. I know the woman that does their books.